This is a black belt, and I'm testing if I should be a black belt or if I should be wearing the white one. And the best way to do it? Go to another gym. Boom! We've reached our destination, the Cellar Gym. This gym is located in Roseville, Minnesota, and it's in the bottom of a strip mall, and I gotta tell you, it is an awesome location. These guys have classes for MMA, kickboxing and Muay Thai, and of course the best of all, jiu-jitsu. Also, they have a lot of people that do it. Now to test to see if I actually deserve to wear the black belt, I'm going up against my first victim, George. And I use the term victim very lightly because George has 34 MMA fights, a massive jiu-jitsu experience advantage, and a weight advantage. I ended up rolling with this guy about 5 or 6 rounds, so we're going to speed through this one and look at the key moments. We started together by doing positional sparring. The goal for me on top was to pass his guard, and his goal was to either submit or sweep me. And he did, multiple times, over and over and over. Of course I was trying to set up my bread and butter on him, known as the guillotine. I was waiting for his neck to get close enough to me that I could reach my arm around the back of it so I could start setting up the choke. He used his left shin to push me off balance and to scoop up an underhook for himself. This gave me the opportunity to wrap up his neck with an arm-in guillotine. Normally I can use my chest to push them down to the mat, but he was extending his leg, which made it difficult for me and allowed him to get a base so he could start hand fighting and peeling the hands off of his throat. I did feel stronger with my wrestling and that I could keep him down on the mat. Unfortunately, that's such a small part of jiu-jitsu. We were in the dogfight, but I couldn't keep my right hand attached to his armpit long enough and he was able to shrug my arm by, which should have been a hint for me to pull guard, but I guess I wanted to give him a highlight reel back take, which he quickly converted into an armbar. Then he proceeded to show me how to suck less, which I'm always very grateful for, but man does it stink when you're trying your hardest out there and they have time to tell you what you did wrong. I was really quickly caught off guard because of how nimble he was. He was constantly going out the back door and controlling my leg from the backside. Most of the guys at my gym are too easily crushed by pressure passing, other than my professor who's built like a tank and he can't even touch his toes. He's never going to be doing these moves to me, so this was a completely different style to deal with. Generally I feel pretty safe in the turtle, but wrestling your way out of a bad situation is not so easy with the gi on. As I went to post my right hand and lift my left leg so I could escape, he pulled me over to my side, which is something I always talk about as a good decision if you don't want to deal with their turtle. Then he slapped on a very slow but methodical rear naked choke, getting another tap from me. I also learned that I must have terrible balance because look at this amazing sweep he did in record time. And as much as I love to be on top, I'm no stranger to being a power bottom.
Power bottom's actually generating all the power by doing most of the work.
But I didn't want to go for any heel hooks because I'm not really sure about the rules of this gym with the gi on. And right when I was feeling confident that I was either going to transition towards the calf slicer or take his back, the bell rang. If you're enjoying the video so far, you gotta do 3 things for me. You gotta like, comment, and subscribe. If you don't, George is coming for you. But it wouldn't be a very good video if I only went up against one black belt. So I made sure to test myself against the heavyweight coach himself. But after getting beat up by George for multiple rounds, I told Dave I had to take the gi top off. Dave rolls similar to my professor with a lot of half guard game, but he's also a lot more flowy. He gets a hold of my arm and he's trying to drag me so he can take my back, but I scoot my butt backwards and then I re-engage on him so he isn't able to get to my back. He has his foot on my hip and he's trying to rip out a Kimura, but as long as I stay tight, he shouldn't be able to get this on me. Now something I learned from George and also Dave is that I have to develop a much better over-under pass. Both these black belts love to use their shin against my chest so they have a frame. If I can develop this attack, I should be able to pass their guards a lot easier and then hopefully set up some guillotines. Dave was doing a nice job manipulating my posture by constantly attacking my leg, and since I had to post on my hands to balance, this allowed him to move away from me because I didn't have my weight on top of his hips. Luckily I squirmed out before he could take my back and put me in a similar George situation. Dave really shows the importance of frames as I talk about in all my videos. We can see his hands are constantly pushing against my chest and hand fighting at the same time, so I never can close the distance between our two bodies. I make a mistake by posting on my foot, but I don't use it to advance, so he scoops under the leg and then he starts to attack it, again bringing my balance off of his chest. He even tried to style on me by setting me up for a banana split, but I'm telling you there was absolutely no way I was going to be tapping to that. I got my butt on top of him and then tried to push against him and hit him with a switch at the same time, but he continued to follow me and take control of my back. Now because I didn't have my gi top on, I felt a lot safer even though he was much larger and he was on top of me. I knew I could wrestle a little bit more as long as I didn't let his hooks come in. Unfortunately his weight was starting to overwhelm me, so I had to go towards guard. I could tell he was trying to wrestle with me a little bit more because because he didn't want to engage in side control as I went towards my stomach. Instead, he went to the front head, one of my favorite positions, and he actually was going to try and guillotine me. There's no way I would ever let that happen on video. So I continued to stand up with him, hand fight my way towards freedom by pulling his hands off of my neck, then freeing myself from the guillotine so we could start wrestling. I felt great avoiding the shot from him, but I definitely wasn't in a good spot to punish him, and there's no way I could have sprawled as we were almost off the mat. My go-to takedown for jiu-jitsu is using the right underhook into a single leg, but his size was going to make that difficult. He attempted to kick my leg out, and I did go for the single, and then he snapped me down towards the mat. It seems that he also likes the front head because he was going for gator rolls on me so he could try and lock up an anaconda. But I continued to roll towards my knees and stretch my shoulder so it'll release pressure from the choke. Then Dave reminded me that he's twice my size and he's going to try that same roll once again. He re-established his grip so he wasn't wearing out his arm strength, and then he went towards another gator roll, but once again I was prepared for this and I continued to roll with him. So he decided to spin behind as that choke wasn't going to work. Once again he did a nice job covering my back, but you can tell I have a much different comfort level. If I don't have the gi top on and I don't have to worry about those chokes, I feel much safer going towards the turtle. I'm really happy that Dave didn't tap me, even if I didn't get much offense going.
How we feeling?
A little tired.
A little tired?
A little. Now remember how I just showed this clip? Yep, it was time for me to go with George again, but I'm happy we did because no-gi is so much more fun. I didn't actually feel that bad against him in guard. I think I'm going to have to be using this next time I roll with him because I had a lot more success here versus when I was on top. As I went to single leg X, he started pushing my leg down, so this is when I like to transition towards the calf slicer, but he was making it difficult by bringing his left leg across my body, and he was also trying to attack my leg at the same time. We worked from this entanglement for quite a while, and I was waiting for him to come back on top of me. I had choices between an inverted heel hook or a calf slicer. He seemed pretty well aware of my attacks because he only wanted to continue pushing forward with his hips and not bringing all of his weight on top of me. I made a big mistake by bringing my butt off the mat, which allowed him to roll me forward, and he did a slick back take, and of course I had to deal with this monster on me once again. It didn't take him too long before he decided he wanted to attack my neck, and I wanted to go for the Gordon Ryan escape as he had the beltline hook, but his hand fighting was more efficient than mine, and I quickly had to let go of the leg as he was attacking my throat. He continued to monitor my left arm, and I was forced to tap. Now I'm not sure what this purple belt's name was, but man was he getting a show watching a black belt beat up another black belt just for fun. I'm gonna steal this leg bump from George because that bump was great and it was an easy way to bring my head forward. He knew he couldn't finish the choke on his back, so he swept me over quickly to mount, and he got a really easy guillotine tap. I can't believe I got tapped on video from my own move. And just to prove I'm a fake black belt, he threw on an ankle lock with a little of heel hook pressure to finish the night. George definitely made me look like a fake black belt, but this won't be the last time you'll see him because I'm going to come back stronger and ready to beat him. Also, it was this viewer's birthday, so he had to do the guard pass game with all the higher belts. Of course, I laced up a guillotine to pass his guard and move right into mount, but nonetheless, happy birthday to him. It was nice to get at least one victory for the day. They had no-gi jiu-jitsu right after the gi, and there's no way I was going to miss that. We mostly went over snaps in the front head, along with some rolls and the Darce choke. So naturally I enjoyed the class, but I enjoyed rolling even more. I'm so fucking small here.
10 out of 10 would gym again.
So after all that, do I really deserve to wear the black belt?